theft of property, moving into buildings illegally. Criminals don't have that downtime to be able to work in the shadows and beautify the areas and make sure the landscaping's nice.
Hey Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Rose. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure I could get you. I saw you elsewhere. I was like, Kyle's already cheating on me.
Yeah.
We haven't even started this podcast and you're already like doing others.
Lucky you came with the big money because the guys are after me.
But I wanted us to talk about you very much into UIPs and that sort of a thing.
Cool.
And just introduce yourself so that people have a perspective of who you are, how you know about everything that I'll be asking you about.
Sure, no problem. So Kyle Connolly, for lack of a better word, the CEO of Ensure Group, where we are right now, which is traditionally a security company, and obviously within the confines of a UIP precinct, which we'll be discussing later, and whether it be estate security, property security. Security is a big element, and so that's dragged us into other elements of precinct management and being able to offer a full turnkey solution in UIPs, strategic economic zones, whatever we'd like to call them. They've got multiple names. We've been in the industry now, uninterrupted service of 60 years, my father and my grandfather as well.
Okay.
So we've been born into the security side of things. And so we believe we've got a good kind of understanding of the security industry and private security industry in South Africa, and specific to Durban, where we've been born and bred. It's fortunately extended itself into being in a position to service the city that we love, and assist the municipality in creating better service delivery and top up services by formulating these private and public partnerships, which is what we're doing now.
Cool. I want us to talk about UIPs because we're going to
Yes.
assume that everyone knows what a UIP is.
Yes.
In fact, I think we should just define it. I'm
Sure.
not going to define it. I'm going to let you
Sure.
let us know.
Yeah, no problem. So they called different things in different cities around the country and actually around the world. And in Durban, a UIP is known as a Urban Improvement Precinct, which is just a term, obviously improving the precinct. And in Cape Town, they're known as CSDs, which is CIDs, City Improvement District.
Oh, okay.
So there's a very popular one in the city centre of Cape Town as well, the CID. And essentially what that is through, let's use eThekwini municipality or the CBD as an example.
Durban,
that is Durban,
Okay.
Durban CBD. They've got CSW and Metro Police.
What is CSW?
It's the waste and cleaning.
DSW?
I think it's been turned into CSW now.
Really?
As
So
of
C is
quite recent.
What? City
Service
solid,
waste,
okay,
city solid waste, yeah,
something,
as
okay.
opposed to Durban solid waste. I'm not 100% sure.
Fine.
Maybe we can,
Anyways.
maybe we can just check that. The city has these line departments in place, and service delivery for the citizens of Durban is either you're happy with it or you're not happy with it. And unfortunately, resources are stretched in the security context. Metro Police and South African Police Force. The private security numbers are more than double. I read an article recently, so I think it's actually 4-1 as private security people to the police force. The resources are there in the private sector to be able to assist and bolster what the Metro Police are doing, for example, again in the city, where they are patrolling and preventing and being a prevention method in the city to stop crime.
Okay.
They can only do it for so long, and then there's overtime hours and there's more money and those kind of things. Whereas a private security company, we're geared for 24 hours of operation, which is quite stock standard in our industry. And so, by virtue of having some tactical vehicles in the city on a 24-hour basis, we are able then to patrol seamlessly across 24/7, 365. Criminals don't have that downtime to be able to work in the shadows, and whether it's drug dealing or moving into buildings illegally or whatever the cases may be, theft of property, those kind of things, business break. These top-up services have evolved by using private companies like ourselves, and hence a UIP. So there's other examples like the Florida Road UIP has got a similar thing where the property owners within that environment would like an improved service delivery option. And so what happens is the city puts a special levy on the property owners' buildings of which gets paid to the city, like when you're paying your rates and your water. And the city then pays that into a company or an organization which the property owners have control of, which is a non-profit NGO.
Okay.
And then that structure has private contractors and say cleaning company, security company, and they go into that specific area and they make sure that law and order and bylaw enforcement is maintained. We go and beautify the areas and make sure the landscaping's nice and the waste is picked up, the bins are in the right place, and just really put a finishing touch on the specific areas.
So it's not just about security, it's also about cleanliness.
Definitely
it's about what else?
So let's look at a residential estate, for example, because
Okay.
we're in the property space here and what we're talking about. And it's very similar to creating, people have retreated into these big estates.
Yes.
Now, those estates have a special levy.
Yes.
And then you get a really nice eco estate and security and greening and maintenance and the lights all work and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So really what we're doing is we're taking a public space, and which is not in an estate format, like a Florida Road or a CBD, and we're creating those extra services that maintain it as if it were its own estate or it's its own little smart city or town, working as if you're a private estate.
Cool.
That's the concept.
Well, my name is Rose Kinya, and this is the Property Podcast. Here we talk about property laws, property rights, and property investment, turning you into a property guru one episode at a time. We're still continuing with Kyle. Kyle, I wanted to ask about still UIPs because that is an interesting topic for property owners especially. A lot of people might be thinking, okay, so you're telling me that I'm already paying rates toward the municipality. Now I've got to top up the rates that I'm paying towards the municipality to add a service that the municipality should be giving me anyways. And what would you say to that?
I say that's a very good point, and it's a very it's the key and crucial point. In this very instance, we just finished a meeting where we've been discussing exactly this. We go into an area where a little bit of, let's call it decay or degeneration is starting to take place in a specific area. Now we've got to go into that area and say, why is this happening? You know, service delivery, whatever the case may be. And do those property owners want to pay more? And that is the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
The crux is, yes, you're paying your rates. And these people in this specific instance are paying their rates in a very big rateable area. Now, why should they have to pay more?
Yeah.
That is a political question, I believe. Governments all around the world, it's not unique to Durban, it's not unique to South Africa. I guess we have our challenges as much as the next country. You've got homelessness in London and Ireland and all sorts of, in America and San Francisco.
Thank you for bringing that up, because South Africans will usually look at things not working out and think those things are unique to South Africa.
No, they're not.
Or
obviously,
act like they are.
Yeah. Look, we as South Africans are resilient, but you know, we do complain, and rightly so in most instances.
A lot sometimes.
But if you take a global perspective, it's very much a UIP concept is not just unique to us. There are strategic zones in different countries around the world, and we know that to be true. We're part of a global security alliance where we swap ideas with other security providers and precinct management companies all over the world.
Okay.
And so yes, it is whether it's murder or whether it's graffiti on the walls, it's still a problem, and it's still part of urban decay, and other things have to be invested in for that to happen. So sometimes government takes care of it in those places, sometimes they don't, sometimes they need extra private investments, and that's where we are today. So it's not a great pill to swallow, because we do complain, there are problems in service delivery, but once you're tired of complaining, roll up your sleeves. I know it costs a little bit more, but there are measures that these UIPs or strategic zones have. And we've just, like I say, we've just had a meeting about this where discussions with the city would take place with these UIP trustees and say, you know, we've paid extra now.
Yeah.
We've put private security, private cleaning, private landscaping and that in place, and our property values have gone up. Now, what should happen is that the rates should go up as well. Now, let's put a pause on that, shall we? Let's not add our rates based on our new property values, because we've been paying for those values to go up where perhaps city have been letting us down. Why should we have to now pay on top of that? So there's conversations, economic conversations, but the city are willing to have those conversations. and see how they can benefit the property owners and get more investment in, which is definitely what the city is doing currently.
And do you find that a lot of areas that have rental properties compared to areas where the owners live, they tend to be looked after better or looked after more? Because I have that in my mind where I feel when people live in the area, the owners of the property, they may actually take care of that property more than if they just live in that property for rental, for an example.
Yes, I think there is that is a good point again, and it's true in the experience that I've had, where we've got a multi-purpose area again that we've been working on currently, which involves a very big residential estate with people who live there,
Yeah.
and those people also own property, commercial property within the precinct,
Okay.
but outside of that estate, and those people are very pro creating a UIP and having to uplift the entire community because they live there and
Yes.
and it's also their properties. And then we've got some people who don't live there and have got buildings next to these guys,
Yes.
and they are quite dismissive of a UIP and have the attitude you have, that you've mentioned, not that you have, sorry, that you've mentioned that, oh, well, I don't live here.
Yeah.
I've got tenants in my building. They haven't complained much. So we're not interested. So there is that definite disparity between the people who do live there and the people who don't. So
a UIP is sort of saying, instead of just looking after your property inside within your yard, look at the area itself, because then that affects the value of the property.
100%. And then the matters of a UIP, the mechanics behind that is you have to let everybody know in the area with the council's approval. You submit the fact that you want to create this UIP.
Okay.
Council approve that you can do it. Then you get all the stakeholders in the area to come. Then they have to vote, obviously, because it's a democratic process. And these people, you need 50% of the votes plus one in a commercial or industrial UIP concept. And then if the people who want in say yes, and it's 50% plus one, then they go. And what happens is every single person's rate, whether you voted yes or no, gets levied.
Okay.
So that's the option.
But if you're saying 50%, if we are a street, is there a minimum number? Is the minimum number put to it that there needs to be at least houses, like 20 houses for us to implement this?
So the city will take the votes of 50% plus one, like I say, and they will have two tiers of that. Let's say there's an environment where there's 50 buildings,
yes,
and that's 100 million rands worth of value. Now you need 51 million rands worth of value of people to say yes, as well as, and they take both measures and they view both.
Okay.
Because it could be that one individual owns 60% of the value,
yes,
and 49 of the individuals or 49 of the property owners have the balance.
Yeah.
Now you can't just have one person being dominant in that way because of the property value. They also have to take the number of properties into account as well.
And how do you start a UIP? I live in my community, I love my community, and I want to start a UIP so that we can clean up and have security. I mean, I know all of us, not all of us, but a lot of people will have individual security companies looking after their properties. But now I've had this idea, I've sat here with Kyle, I'm like, I'd like to start a nice UIP for my area. How do I go about?
So two things to mention in that, and you mentioned having different security providers and different costs. A benefit to this is that once you have a collective, and once you have a collective organization as a UIP, you can actually find some of those costs back that we're paying extra for. For instance, you've got 3 security officers in your business park.
Yeah.
Your next door neighbor's got 3 different companies.
Yes.
Maybe between the two of you, you only need 2 each, and you can rationalize some of the costing that way. That's quite a basic example, but the gist of it is maybe you have an active 24-hour coverage of a vehicle that you're contributing to. Maybe you don't need any security guards at your premises anymore. So those are some of the costs, and the same goes for cleaning, and the same goes for landscaping as well. Where the estate is beautifying outside of the estate at their cost to make sure outside looks quite nice for the residents.
Yes.
A UIP would be covering that in so far as their costing, and so the estate would save some money on that kind of landscaping cost and greening cost. So that's where you can find some cost saving, pretty much based on the question you asked previously. And then as far as creating one, by virtue of us doing the city CBD contract, it has been largely in our contract and in our service level agreement with them to assist in creating UIP or SRA, special rated areas.
I didn't know that before coming here, so this is pleasant for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, we've whether it's our marketing or advertising that we do that, we're pretty concentrated on the projects that we are doing.
So
But
if I wanted to start a UIP in my
Yeah.
area, would I come to you as
You
Kyle
could.
and say, oh, so this is your chance to now sell yourself?
yeah, you could actually. It obviously takes a lot of time. There's a lot of
Yes.
red tape and systems that and boxes that need to be ticked.
And how do you get compensated for that? Like if before you would get to the point where you are now doing the service, how do you get compensated? Do you charge upfront for your
No,
hours
so
to
our
step back?
model at this stage is to almost consult and take you to a position of being able to register your UIP for free.
Okay.
But part of our contract would be the setup for free with a 3 to 5 year management contract thereafter, where we would provide services where we can.
Okay.
And so that would be how we would do it. So there's a specific area. I mean, I must say these UIPs are coming all over the place because
Yes.
they add lots
Useful.
of value.
Yeah.
Property values are going up. New developments that are happening in the city in places like Salter,
Yes.
places like Brickworks. There's some excellent guys that are doing great jobs in attracting investors and creating these UIP or
Yes.
strategic zones prior to building.
Yeah.
So that the fees and all of those are acknowledged up front and it's part of the
When
investment
you buy,
in.
you already know.
Yes, so this is very common within KZN, and it's a massive tool that the city is using with private developers, working very strategically together to attract investment into the country. And it's something that this city government is doing excellently over the last couple of years. And you can see the Club Meds and the Salters and the big investments that I've said. There's, in fact, the guys at Southern Sun have recently put out their financials and shown huge success, and they've got a big appetite to continue and to reinvest into Durban and into our beachfront, because they are operating UIPs which are on the border of our zone, that are operating in South Beach and North Beach and providing massive value for these guys. And the graph is on the up, and it's very positive outlook for investment in our city.
And I want us to go back a bit because I interrupted you. You were still telling us how the steps to creating a UIP, and that's on me.
No, that's cool. So there are window periods of time
Okay.
within the city where they'll say from January to March you have to do X and Y. Which, let's say you phoned me and I came to your area and we assessed it, we'd have to look at the geography of where you'd like
It's
it.
feasible.
And the feasibility is key, because you need to have a really good budget and plan of what you want to achieve. And these things cost a lot of money. Security costs a lot of money. You know, you're looking in the minimum of a couple of hundred, or at least 100,000 Rand for a dedicated vehicle 24 hours a day. So now how much levy does each person have to pay to just have a minimum spend?
Yeah.
So once you looked at it and it was feasible, you would then start the application process with the city and the SRA department. Of which
Sorry, what department is that?
SRA, which is special rated areas.
Okay, special rated
and there's
areas.
A division within the economic development unit of the city that deals with that.
Okay.
And between us consulting and trying to get it set up, and you guys creating a structure and a board
within the community.
within the community.
Okay.
Yeah. And then would it be residential? Would it be commercial? Would it be a mixed use? All of these kind of assessments need to be understood before we register and go forward with one.
Okay.
But we are in a position to help those that are looking to partner in creating a UIP.
And so it's usually only feasible when you explain it if the rates are high, if the properties are already rated relatively high because of the cost
Well,
of
no, it's
security.
it's either a high rateable cost, or it's a lot of volume.
Okay.
So the total rateable area needs to have a levy component that would
Makes sense.
which would allocate a good service offering. Because if it's piecemeal and it's quite low,
Yeah.
it's no real. You're going to have a big volume of people going, well, we're paying now for a service, but the service isn't
It's not
really good
great,
enough
yeah.
to be impactful. So that feasibility is key, and it's something, like I say again, we're in the middle of doing one currently, and it's in a massive commercial area and industrial area and residential area,
Yeah.
and still. Do property owners want to pay? These are the kind of things we're looking at.
And that was going to be my next question, that in your experience, do you find that people are receptive to this? The majority of people see value in the UIPs, in what it brings, in the overall
Definitely.
impact that it brings. Is it the majority that sees the value, or do you find that you usually have to do a lot of education, a lot of convincing, a lot of selling the service for people?
You do have to do a lot of convincing, but there's a reason why there's only 50% plus one vote rather than 75% vote, because
Okay.
firstly, again, it's the majority is 50% plus one, so that's
Yes.
good. But you will notice that it's a lower entry point. Everybody is in, and then they'll see the value. And the
Okay.
value, if you go back 3, 4, 5 years, will go, okay, we needed that. We definitely needed that, and we're happy. Unfortunately, we've, in our experience, when you do a community precinct kind of arrangement that's not a UIP, that's not formal, you will get, 3 companies that are keen, and they will put their money.
Okay.
And then you've got their next door neighbor going, well, they're paying, and now
So
they
I
need to
don't
pay.
have
So I'm
to.
just going to get the value
Yeah.
of this without contributing myself, and I'll just enjoy the upsides.
And have you found there's a way to get, especially the people that are renting out? Because my interest is mostly in the student accommodation areas. Now, the city identified a radius within the universities, and they were like, okay, this area, we are looking at changing it into a student zone or whatever. I'm sure
Cool.
you'd be
Strategic zone, that makes sense.
Yes, but now you find that there's a lot of decay happening in those areas, because you've got students who come here and leave in November, so they don't care about the outlook. They don't care what it looks like. They don't care about looking after the properties. But also the landlords don't live there, so then they also don't care about those. But there are residents who live in those areas who care about their their properties. Have you found a strategic way to get the landlords that are not really staying in that area to buy in? Because when you have an area that already has more now landlords than owners who are living in the area, you start to have problems, and you start to see the decay of the properties.
It's a very good assessment of the situation as it is, and it seems to be the same in a lot of areas. Like I say, big property companies, smaller property companies, whoever it may be, when they're not there and they're fully tenanted, we've had experiences on all sides of the spectrum. You've got smaller guys who don't live there that aren't interested. You've got big guys who do live there that are interested. So it's unfortunately human nature. It is what it is, and if somebody is, in my opinion, short-sighted to the fact that your whole precinct will lift up the value of your properties, but the city also has to play its part there, because like I say, if you are a property owner in a specific area, you're fully tenanted, and you don't live there, and you're not there from day to day, in my opinion, then again, a UIP concept would be absolutely pertinent to an area like that, because you've got a collective body now. You don't have a few students complaining, or a few tenants or residents that are complaining against bigger corporates. You've got a body.
Yeah.
That body is a collective voice now. Like I said, forces everybody. It forces that landlord to pay, even
also.
whether he lives there or not. And again, if he doesn't pay it, he's not paying to the city. Then the city can turn their lights off and things like that. So that's why these things work well. And I think there's instances, again, also in Florida Road, where you had tenants who work there day to day, and landlords perhaps who don't, and some have felt like they weren't being heard as tenants. Now you need to force that back into your landlord, but you can actually go and report things to the UIP now, and the UIP can
handle it.
Yeah, it can become a discussion between the UIP and the landlord. Say, look, the guys on the road are saying X and Y. Taxi transport issues. You got a collective voice. We can go talk to Santaka. We can arrange that the taxis arrange a certain amount of vehicles for that specific area only. Their taxis get full, so they get more money.
Yeah.
Traffic becomes less. But Mrs. Jones can't necessarily go and speak to Santaka. Well, they can. It's not that they won't or wouldn't be
But
allowed
they
to. But
wouldn't really
a
have a
UIP voice
voice.
it's attractive to the Santaka guys because it comes with a collective of the community that needs transport. And so that's a massive component as well that offers significant value to that area.
To be fair, I'd never thought about that one because a lot of times when you go into the suburbs, you find you can't get taxis. And it's a problem if you don't have a car. And you start seeing these taxis coming in now. And now that I think about it, it makes sense that if you have a body like that, now you'll have someone who speaks on behalf of the community, and then you have a few taxis coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I talk to the transport situation, people might think I'm crazy, but I understand when I say they may think I'm crazy, how we sometimes view the taxis on the road and some small minority of their behavior at times and driving up the wrong side of the road and things like that.
Minority, you say?
I'm treading carefully. I know who these guys are. But when I say I'm crazy, if you engage with an organization like Santaka
Yes.
as an umbrella body, which we've done numerous times, they're very opening and very welcome. Their biggest challenges are an instance where people are creating their own taxi services. Okay, and this is an argument I'm not here to really see who's right or wrong.
Okay.
And there's value in both sides of this argument. But if you work at a call center, you and 4 people got a job and you're from the same area,
Yeah.
and you decide that you're going to find a friend who can give you a lift every single day. But if all of you did that, the traffic would be unmanageable.
Yes.
When there's a solution, where the taxi guys have got a solution, and also the Santaka and taxi associations have to pay for their routes. They've got to pay to service that area. Now, your friend doesn't have to pay to service that area. So you've got too many vehicles and lift clubs.
Yeah.
You've got Uber, you've got Bolt, you've got all the e-hailing services who also don't pay their for their route or whatever. And not only that, they come and then they rank and at a specific site.
Yeah.
Now you've got the taxi guys who have to pay for that rank and have to pay for that permit, and you've got other guys who don't. So I understand that the guys at the taxi guys get annoyed with that. I don't obviously agree with
Their methods,
how
not
they
particularly.
battle that. Obviously, I don't agree with that, but I can understand the problems, and
And
these
you're
problems
bringing-
exist in every area.
Yeah.
So we have we've started engaging with Santaka specifically in certain areas to say, and they've been very open to this.
Yes.
Because if we can manage having less vehicles in an area, and we fill it with Santaka taxis that are allowed in and permitted and vetted, and the drivers need to behave and they mustn't hoot and they overly hoot and try and manage that, it becomes a way easier scenario than just anybody come and do lifts here. So again, UIPs have got that that benefit.
I think they are undersold. Like I think for
UIP.
the the value they bring, UIPs are undersold because I mean, I'm from rural areas, therefore I would know nothing about a UIP. But I only recently learned about UIPs. Is it a recent thing? Were they always there? How far back do we go to now start establishing these things called UIPs? Because I don't know if I was late to get to Durban and then to learn about UIPs, or if
I think
fairly
they
new.
existed. So Umhlanga Rocks, for example,
Yes.
the bottom of Umhlanga Rocks on the beach with the hotels is a very successful UIP.
How long has it been?
That
there
must
for?
have been there 10, 15 years. Don't quote me on
So
that, but
that's
it's been.
new,
I mean, I
kind
lived
of.
there myself 8, 9 years ago,
Yeah.
and it was thriving. 15 years ago minimum.
Okay.
That the Umhlanga one. Belito has one as well in an area that's been long going. Florida Road has had one for maybe 15 years as well. So
Okay.
so they've started to grow a lot of legs now.
Yes.
As the city has become more assisting in the creation of them. But it's they have been around for quite a long time, and ones that have been around and have succeeded and show benefit throughout, like I mentioned, the Umhlanga one is largely a big flagship UIP. If anybody wants to see how one runs, we'd like to say the one in the inner city is as good. It hasn't been as long, but
Yeah.
it's been really well run, I believe, by our team. But the Mhlanga precinct is exceptional. And if you went and asked the residents, tourists, tenants, anybody who lives there, if you pulled that UIP out, it would be
A
uninhabitable
disaster.
and
Yeah.
a disaster with new buildings and drag races and loud noises and all sorts of stuff. It gives them a body to at least
Yeah.
show some difference.
I must say that the city, Durban, looks really good, and you guys are doing such a wonderful job. I'm not just saying that because you
Thank you.
agreed to yep with me
No,
today.
I
but
appreciate
we're
that.
also, I think, running out of time because you've got a meeting to get to.
No problem.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you so much for engaging us.
Absolute
And
pleasure.
if you had to leave last words, like if you were a motivational speaker, but your motivation was for people to get into UIPs, what would you say?
I would have to say that the value is, I understand people don't want to pay. You've mentioned that.
Yeah.
If we had to take the payment away and we had to show you how it was against how it is, specifically in the city as a good
Yes.
example, and other UIPs that we've worked in, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Okay.
Finding the feasibility and what's fair is what the challenge is
Yes.
from a company like ours,
Yeah.
to be able to show that maybe the money that you're going to be paying a bit extra is going to be worth it.
Yes.
If we can just bridge that gap, the rest is history, because I totally believe in a private-public partnership.
Yes.
Which is not, this is why these UIPs are springing up more these days, because the city is showing its ability and vision in that they work, and that this is what we need to do. So if the city's doing it with examples like us, I think it's something everyone should consider in their community. If they aren't happy with the way things are going,
Yeah.
contact your councillor, find your CPF, a friend who knows a friend, or if you know us or you know Rose, come and call us and we can see how we can help you, because there's no point complaining anymore. We're resilient people in South Africa and in Durban.
Yeah.
This is our city. I want to make it Miami, the new Miami, better than
Yes.
Miami, Africa Miami.
Actually, much better than Miami.
Absolutely.
It's a pity you can't see the view that we're looking at.
Absolutely, I know. And
I mean,
we really could make Durban something special. And that's what we're trying to do.
and to the property owners out there, remember, it's not all up to the city. There's a difference for you to make. There's space for you to also make a difference. Start a UIP in your area. Thank you, Kyle.
Pleasure, Rose. Thanks.